Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Toolbox Tips here at WHC Hire. And now in this week's episode we're at the Tewkesbury depot with our brand new John Deere compact tractor with a flail attachment. And today we're going to go over a few daily checks that you should do every single day if you've got this machine on long-term hire. And on that note, let's roll the intro. Like I said guys, thank you ever so much for joining us here at WHC Hire for another Toolbox tip. If you'd like to get more out of your plant and tool hire equipment, then please be sure to subscribe to our channel for weekly Toolbox tips. Now, onto the video. In today's episode, we're going to go over a number of different checks you should be looking to do with a compact tractor to make sure that it runs at its optimum rate. So let's get started. First thing we want to do is do a full check, visual check of the machine to make sure everything is attached and there's no damage since it's last been used. Make sure you check the bodywork, the cabin and also the attachment as well. The next thing we want to check is all the fluids in and around the machine to make sure that it's fully topped up and ready to move. So the first thing we want to check for our fluids is our axle fuel, which is on the front axle, is this yellow one. We just simply unscrew this, should be finger tight. We check that the liquid is in between the indicator at the top. Our next check is our fuel one. Underneath here we have our fuel. We want to make sure that there's no water in this. And then finally we want to check our dipstick, which is just here for our engine oil. Now on here we want to make sure that the oil is between the two indicators. And on the front of the machine, that's all we need to check. We'll now just go around to the rear of the machine to check the transmission fluid and the hydraulic fluid on the attachment. So if you want to follow me around to the back of the machine. The attachment that we've got on today is a flail mower, and we'll find the hydraulic liquid and the transmission fluid dipstick just at the back by the PTO. Let's go and have a look. So just the back of the PTO here, you'll see a yellow dipstick. We just need to lift that out and double check that when cold, the fluid is in between the two indicators that are there. We'll pop that back in. Now we've put that back in, that's all the fluids and all the checks that you need to do on a daily basis for your hire compact tractor. Now we're going to move on to the next one, which is going to be the tyres. Now, just to double check, in the tyres, the tyres need a full check over and make sure that there's no cuts or any damage, anything in them at all. We also need to check the pressures as well, which is 20 psi in the rear tyres and then 40 psi in the front tyres. So let's have a look at our first tyre here. We're just going to check in between all the grooves, make sure everything is good in the tread, no damage to the wheels. Make sure we check on the outside as well as the inside as well. There's nothing clear and obvious. And then we'll move round to the front one. Exactly the same with the front tyre. Let's make sure we check all the tread, no damage, nothing stuck in it, no nails or anything. Check the outside, also check the inside as well. Absolutely fantastic. And then we just repeat the process on the other side. Once we've done that, we're going to do all the safety checks inside the cabin to make sure everything is ready and raring to go to get cracking on with the work. So into the cabin we go. Now moving into the cabin, using 3 points of contact to make sure that we get in safely. Take your seat. Now first check we're going to make sure is the seat belt works. You'll find one side of the seat belt on the right hand side. We just pop it into its opposite, make sure it clicks in properly and then detaches safely as well. The next check we want to do is to make sure that all our visuals are okay. So we're checking all our glass in and around the cabin. We want to make sure that the windscreen wipers work. So to start and to make sure that they work, we key on to position 1. So ignition is on. And then this knob on the left hand side, we just turn to position 1. Moves the windscreen wipers. We push in for the windscreen wiper fluid. Once you're satisfied with that, you can turn that one off, not a problem. And then we'll make sure that the rear one's working as well. Now to find the button for this can be found on the right hand side control panel. It's just here at the back. Position 1 will start the windscreen wiper. And if we hold down, we'll release the fluid. Once you're satisfied with that, and you've got good clear observations around the machine, we'll move on to the lighting of the machine, the safety lighting. Our next job is to make sure that all the lights are working correctly. We can operate this by the right control panel. We can push our 2 front beams on as well as our hazards, and as well as we pop our rear light on as well. Just before we get out of the machine, we need to make sure the beacon's on as well as the lights, and that's activated by this switch just here. Once we've got all those in, we can jump out of the machine and have a little look around to make sure all the lights working correctly. So we'll just jump out of the machine and have a little look. And once these are complete, we can get back in the machine. We can turn them off if we don't need them already. And the machine is ready to go and is ready for work. And that's all the checks that you need to do, guys, to ensure that your compact tractor runs really smoothly every single time. Now, if you're hiring this machine, make sure that if you come into any problems with your little checks, be sure to contact your hire professional to arrange someone to come and check the equipment works correctly. And that is all we have time for this week, guys, on Toolbox Tips. Thank you ever so much for joining us, but we will look forward to seeing you next week for another episode. But until then, take care, have a great week, and bye-bye for now.